Well, hello everybody, and happy President's Day. Robert Imbriali here. So good to have you along for the ride, and I'm going to tell you, what a ride. It's been quite an amazing weekend, and there's a lot of stuff been breaking. We're going to share quite a bit of it today, and it's going to make your head spin a little bit, I know, and for some it's going to make you feel like we can't win, but I want to let you know that at the end I have a video to play that's going to help answer that question about what we can do to be able to win, because it feels daunting with some of the stuff that has been coming out over the weekend. And it was really interesting from my perspective this morning, being a marketing guy, right? I went out and the first thing I look for is, okay, what day is it? It's President's Day. That means there's going to be, come on, what's there going to be? All right, President's Day sales. Remember, nobody beats the Whiz. Oh, I'm going way back to my New York time in New York. Nobody beats the Whiz commercials. President's Day was always a big deal. All the stores had President's Day sales. I have not seen a single email, and I got more than 800 emails in my inbox this morning to start the day. What's going on, guys? What's happening out there? Oh, we don't have a president we're proud of? Oh, is that what it is? No, it can't be, right? It's a marketing. It's a reason for a sale. Is nobody in a sales mood, or are businesses not able to put on, sales the way they used to? I don't know. Curious question. I don't have the answer, but I'm certainly interested to hear your opinion on why you think there's no President's Day, or very little fanfare this year compared to what I'm used to. I got to tell you, I have a different strategy, I guess, for President's Day. I've never been a huge fan of celebrating the U.S. government president. But what I do celebrate is presidents of corporations who are doing the right thing, who are honest, who are ethical, who do business the right way, who really take care of their teams, right, and do the right thing for society. We have leaders in industry, Donald Trump being one, yes, also a politician, but prior to that, a leader in industry. Now, I have personal connection to Donald Trump. My aunt used to work for him. And after 2 years of working there, she wrote me a postcard, and she said, I'm voting for this man when he runs for president because he is an exceptional gentleman. He said, we've never been better taken care of than the years she spent working for him. And this was before he was running for president. This was back in 2016. Kind of interesting to hear that from somebody who knows him personally. So these are the presidents that I celebrate. I celebrate the titans of industry who really make our world better through innovation and bring stuff to the forefront that wouldn't otherwise have a chance. Elon Musk, someone we're going to speak about a lot today, is one of those, fits into that category. It's like you might love him, you might hate him. I think I'm on the fence whether or not he's a good guy or a bad guy at this point, but at the moment, right here, good guy, right? Because what is he doing? Well, he's doing a lot of good things with X. If nothing else, you can look at that as one of the free speech platforms. We're going to talk a lot about free speech today and the disinformation industry as it's become. And we're going to talk about what role X is playing in this. And there are two social media networks right now you need to be part of. One of them is Telegram, and the other one is X. They're the only ones right now where you still have a shot at getting to the truth. They still have a shot of really understanding what's going on in this world, right? It's challenging. So much censorship. This is going to be the big topic today, is to talk about that whole industry and where it's happened, because a lot is broken over the weekend on it, and it's just like open Pandora's box, and it's starting to pop in every direction. So there's a lot to talk about there. But before we get there, let's talk a little bit about screwbiggov.com. If you have not been there lately, please go visit. This is Lewis's website where you'll find all the goodies there. The films that he's done, including Cages, and the other films before that that are equally as good. You could find the interviews he's done. He's been on quite a few interviews lately. He's been doing the circuit over the past few months, and a lot of people interview him. And it's interesting because they'll ask him different questions, and I might ask him, basically this show is about the news, but they'll ask him questions that are far out there. And he's got such a base and a wealth of knowledge. It's really kind of interesting to see some of the answers that he comes up with. Really good stuff. And also, there's swag there. If you want to get Screw Big Gov t-shirts, sweatshirts, they have them there. And if you want to find Lewis on social media, that button in the bottom right there, that is the way to do it. It's hard to find him sometimes, but that button will take you directly there. If you want to find me, very easy. On Telegram, I'm at Renegade Media, or at Robert Imbriali on X if you want to follow me directly, or email me, robert@renegademedia.tv. There's a lot of you do. Like I said, 800 plus emails this morning. And guess what? I did get through all of them. What do you mean you got through? I got through all of them. I had a lot to do this morning preparing for the show, but I was able to get through a fair amount of emails that were there. I'm putting I'm changing how I'm laying things out on my screen. So I'm like, oh, my notes are on my left-hand side now. I think I'm better on my right-hand side. So if I'm a little bit off, that's what's going on in the back end. Nothing major, just little tweaks, trying to make the show flow a little bit better every single time. I'm one who likes to raise the bar every time. All right. So we know Friday, it was kind of interesting that Trump lost this court battle, and they told him he can no longer do business in New York City. Right, for 3 years, and he has to pay a $350 million, $360 million, depending. It's weird. The number's different depending who you talk to. You get different numbers. So I'm going to just say $350 million fine, and he's banned from doing business in New York for 3 years. Because what did he do? Let's see what the crime was. He took out a bank loan. A lot of us have done that. He paid it back with interest. The bank was happy, so much so that they wanted to loan him more money. They wanted to do another loan. No victim. Let's see, what else did he do? Right? You look at this whole thing and you go, this doesn't even make any sense. This is a guy, or a business in this case, that did everything the way you're supposed to do it. Did everything right. There were no victims. And yet this judge ruled against him. People are pissed off. A lot of people in New York don't even want to acknowledge it. They don't want to do business in New York anymore. It's scaring people away. So here's what's going on. We have truckers now saying they're going to refuse New York City loads after the Trump verdict. Not only that, there are a lot of companies saying, hey, they're not going to do business anymore.
No, the way he does it, though.
Yep.
A face on.
So I hear someone in the background that's making a little bit of racket there. Let's see. There he is. Mr. Herms, how are you? You're live.
Hey, technology guy. I thought you had the ability to mute us from your side.
I can, but then you have to unmute yourself. You don't want to do that, do you?
Oh, wow. Too much work.
I know. It can be a lot of work, and it doesn't have to be.
I didn't know it's coming up so soon. Hello there. I love it.
You did come up right in the middle of our New York truckers are refusing to drop loads into New York City, which is kind of what I was hoping the border convoy would have turned into and may still turn into.
Well, here's the challenge. The border convoy, the PSYOP worked, and it scared the truckers away. Right. Because the truckers were told that if you go, you will be considered militia. And unfortunately, so we had an amazing convoy, tons of people, and it was very, 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 very positive, and it was an extremely great event. But the physical truckers didn't show up, which is interesting. So I didn't think truckers resonated in fear, but I guess many of them do, because they believe the hype. And it's all it was. It was a fake psyop, and they bought into it. It's pretty sad, but we'll see. They're going to do another one, and I believe they'll probably will show up, because there's a lot of power in the truckers showing up, which I think we're going to see in New York for sure. It's especially when they start blockading things. Not that I advocate that FBI, but it's just pretty cool when it does happen.
Yeah. Well, they're not going to blockade. What they're going to do is they're not going to deliver, so they're not even taking the loads on.
I'm not referring to New York.
Okay.
In general, it's very powerful when they take it to that next step.
Right. The blockades. Yep.
Yeah, because they're blocking commerce in cities that desperately live on it, and it's amazing how quickly. But here's where we should have open and honest discussions. Most of us probably would support truckers blockading in order to save this country from immigration and so on and so forth,
Right.
right?
Mm-hmm.
But when these crazy liberals blockade a freeway, we, including myself, we lose our minds. Isn't it interesting?
It is.
So we have to take a deep breath and go, huh? Is it what's good for me, not for thee? How does that work?
Yeah.
And I'm being very transparent. If you get some of these people, if I disagree with their message and they're blocking the freeway, that's not a good day for them if I'm around, right? But if the truckers are blocking freeways and we're trying to do something that I believe in, if I'm going to be honest, I would probably support it. So, how do we reconcile that within ourselves is a great question.
You're going a little deep here, Lewis.
Yes, I am on a Monday of all things.
On a Monday, on a big news day, you're going deep on us. But yes, that is a good question.
Yeah.
Yep.
So let's get into the news then. I will. Right now, I'm coming up from the deep. I'm going to be put my head above water, and we'll get back on track.
Cool. So let's see. A trucker named Chicago Ray, and you probably saw this. It was on social media. It was all over the place. He took to social media on Friday and posted a video in which he expressed fellow truckers' outrage at the verdict. He's been on the radio for over an hour, and he talked to at least 10 truckers who are going to start refusing loads for Monday for New York City. But it wasn't just Monday. That's where it started on Friday. Now, a lot of them are talking about, hey, we're not going to do this for at least the next 3 days. Some are saying 3 weeks. Some are saying, hey, Trump is banned for 3 years. Let's not deliver to New York City for 3 years. Of course,
Yep.
I think if more and more got on board, and this is what it is. It's always, follow the leader, right? So you need a handful of them to step up and do this, and that'll start to build momentum. And that's why this thing can't be just a 1 day thing or 2 day thing. There's no momentum. But if there are 10 the first day, then the next day there are 15, then there are 20, then there are 30, then the thing starts to build. And over 30 days, 40 days, you might have a real blockade of New York City. And they're already panicking there. They're saying, well, our food prices are going to go through the roof. Of course they will. You won't be getting deliveries in. In a place like New York City, you miss a day or two of deliveries, you're behind. There was this statistic. I'll share this with you because I think it was kind of interesting. They said that the entire United States food chain. Now, we don't even know how this works, right? We don't know where the food comes from. It just shows up in the restaurant or it's in the grocery store. The entire food chain, if it were to stop, within 2 weeks, there'd be no food left in the country. Interesting stat.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, they are restocking shelves all the time in grocery stores, so I guess there makes some sense to that.
Yeah, there and the other thing too is to think about perishables, right? The perishables wouldn't last anyway if it was 2 weeks out. you need fresh milk, you need fresh eggs. You can't just leave them in the shelves for that long. So there's a lot of value to that statement.
Well, I think we really need to look into constitutionally. It talks about redressing our grievances, right? Why that? Excuse me for a second.
Bless you.
That was a good one, live. If I wasn't driving, I could have muted it, but I am. So it talks about that, and I think that's probably going to be the thing that's going to be most important in the coming days. So us boycotting is a form of doing that. Can you imagine if the trucker said, "Yeah, no more income taxes. We'll just shut down commerce until you fix that." That is a form of we the people taking our power back.
Well, they're the pipeline of America. No question.
Yes.
Yeah.
It may seem radical, but if we start doing exactly what Sean Hannity tells you not to, and that is to boycott, and take it to them, that is in essence a redressing of grievances, because what you're stepping outside the system and saying we're going to change it ourselves, and we have the constitutional right to change everything. And I think that's what we the people don't understand.
Yeah, I think they're being scared off, and I think Jan 6 has a lot to do with it because, they look at that and they say those people had the constitutional right to be on that property. It's the people's house. They weren't doing anything wrong, and here they are rotting in prison, and there's no escape. There's no way out. So I
Okay,
think it's
but
done a lot as a psyop. It's done
did
a lot to keep them down.
right? Did they have the constitutional right to be on corporate property? Is DC part of? Does DC even recognize the Constitution? DC doesn't recognize the Constitution.
Yep.
That's the biggest challenge. The DC does not recognize the Constitution, and even if they did, they recognize the post 1871 Constitution, which has been manipulated. So it's very, very interesting. The reality is, this cannot take place in other cities and counties. Now, you're going to have isolated incidents, of course, where there's going to be an overstepping of law enforcement, for sure. They do it all over the place, but not to the degree of what happened on J6, where they blanketly just said, you know what, your due process does not exist. And that's what scared everybody. But again, J6, DC is not equatable to any other place in the country. That's what we need to know.
But it's a technicality that's lost on a lot of people because they see Washington, D.C., and they don't recognize what we know. We know it's foreign land. It's not part of the United States of the way that the rest of the country is. And it's a distinction that's important, but I think also that gets lost.
Yeah, I would agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah. So Trump is no longer in charge of his business in New York City because he's not allowed to be. It's fascinating to think about.
Now, is that effective immediately, Robert? Because generally they wait for the appeals process before they put that in.
Well, this is published on the 17th, which was Saturday, and it's saying here that Barbara Jones, District Court Judge Barbara Jones, has been appointed to manage the Trump businesses. So she's already apparently taken on that role. And for the first time in history, the Trump Organization, many of the key financial decisions will not be made by Trump, following a ruling in New York State judge Friday barring Donald Trump and his two eldest sons from having any role in running the real estate empire that was founded in 1927 by Donald Trump's father. The company has been placed in the hands of a court-appointed monitor, so it looks like it's already done.
That's crazy.
And this Barbara Jones, a lawyer and former federal judge, will now have total oversight over the real estate conglomerate that played a central role in shaping the public image that helped Trump win the White House in 2016. Jones, who's 76 years old, no spring chicken, has been serving as a monitor at the Trump Organization since November 2022 when she was appointed by New York State Supreme Court Judge Arthur Engron, the crazy guy, to oversee certain financial matters at the company. So it says the appointment came shortly after New York Attorney General Letitia James charges against Trump and members of his family, accusing them of ripping off banks and insurers by routinely misstating the value of their properties. Even the banks refuted that and said that's not true.
So if people don't recognize that this is the cabal in action, I think we're done.
Yeah.
I'm talking about normies. If normies don't start seeing this for what it is, we have no chance in taking back our country. But I do believe this is why this is happening, because it's shedding a light on the corruption to a level that's just astronomical.
It has sent shockwaves of fear through the business community in New York. And Hochul, the stand-in governor there in New York, said, "Don't worry about it. This Trump is very different than everyone else. We're not going after anyone else. It's just his beliefs and the way he talks." Hello.
Wait. She said his beliefs?
Yeah, it's just because of his beliefs.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
That's the best thing she could have said. That right there, it just won the appeals process.
Well, yeah, and you could tell it's politically motivated. Hello. She just admitted to it.
That's beautiful.
So the president of FedEx, the former president, Fred Smith, the guy who founded it, came out and said, get out of New York State. Don't do business in New York. So, they said that there's $1 trillion in valuation that's going to be removed from New York as the Wall Street firms will be moving off of the island of Manhattan there. or the peninsula of Manhattan.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
I love it. It's a beautiful thing. We need, sorry, New Yorkers, but we need New York to fall, just like we need Los Angeles to fall and all the other cabal cities. And if it costs a lot of jobs, I apologize. If it costs lives, I apologize. But the only way that we're going to win this war is for those cabal strongholds to fall. They have to be crushed. And
Yeah.
I actually see that. I just see that happening. I think that's exactly the way it's going to go down.
Now, if you got this judge who's running the Trump organization, she's making all the decisions. She then has the power to destroy that company from the inside.
Oh, of course. That's. I'm sure that would be the intent
Yeah.
too from the beginning.
Yeah. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. You're fired. The key employees are all gone.
Yep.
I mean, that kind of power. Who knows what she's able to do?
That's right.
So it's kind of a weird situation, even though it will be appealed and he'll definitely win on appeal. There's no way this trial should even come up to, shouldn't even have been a trial. The charges should never have been brought.
Well, the way I think it's going to line out, and I don't even believe I'm being Pollyanna or wearing rose-colored glasses on this. The way I think it's going to pan out is it'll go through. Well, by the way, when's the appeal process? Before I answer this, when does it start? Did they get the rush appeal that they wanted or no?
I did not hear anything about that.
Okay, so if they can get the rush appeal, which in a case like this would qualify 100% for that. So if they can get that, when they appeal, and it shows that this really was not all even just wrong, but it was rampant with collusion, conspiracy, and it was intentional. I believe when they show that the legality of it was completely broken, that will be the nexus to taking down that part of the deep state. Literally, they'll start arresting the judges and the attorneys that did this. I don't think that's too far-fetched at all.
No, not at all. Again, we'll have to see how it plays, but that would be probably the greatest outcome we could hope for.
Yeah. It's logical also, but that's me believing that we're a little bit farther along than it looks publicly.
There's so much disclosure coming out on all this stuff, and I think as the more crazy it gets, or the crazier things become, the more people are waking up and realizing, hey, things aren't at all as they seem. Phoebe and I were having a conversation about my cousin who's in New York City, and she's like, he needs to get out of there. He needs to get out of there. I said, it's really hard for a New Yorker to leave the city because they're so in love with the lifestyle. They're so in love with the energy. They're so in love with the city. They just turn their head the other way when they see all the crime. And it's just the way they are. It's an interesting brand.
It's interesting because I love nothing about what you just mentioned.
Yeah, same here. That's why I'm here. I'm not in New York anymore. I worked in New York City for 2 years, 17th and Broadway, and I came to the conclusion very rapidly that people don't actually live in New York, but they actually survive in New York. A very big difference,
Yeah.
So.
I have no desire to follow.
Exactly.
I don't think that sounds fun to me.
Been there, done that.
Hey,
didn't like it.
Yeah. From a logistics standpoint, when I came on earlier and you can hear me, could our audience hear us also, or just you could hear me?
No, the audience could hear you as well, but we couldn't understand it because it wasn't very loud.
It's weird because generally when I run the systems, I could hear them unless I open it up. So I'll have to figure that one out because I travel so much. Okay, cool.
Or what I could do is pot you down on the mixer and not have, because I had Zoom open so I could hear when you popped in. I can have that off until you give me a thumbs up that bring me on, that kind of thing.
Yep. Okay.
I could hit the mute button on this side, but then, as you're driving, it's hard to hit the mute button on the phone. I've done that. Trying to grab the phone and you're driving, it bounces. It's never an easy thing. Hey, who's waiting for you at home? What kind of four-legged critter's waiting for you at home?
Well, we have one, which seems to be, it used to be our youngest one that was so excited to see us when we get home. Now it's our think it's what 10 years old, honey, or husky, about 10 years old.
Wow.
And it's he's just got so much energy. He's jumping up and down all the time, trying to see us. And our older one that's 17, he meets us at the door and checks us out, and then he's too bored with us and then leaves. And then we have our 3-year-old that's beating the door down with his tail when he sees us, because you can hear it too, bam, 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 before we even walk in the door, because he's in this little hallway section that he stands.
And that's even hilarious when you show up without the Pets 24/7 food.
That's even when what?
When you don't show up, even when you have no Pets 24/7 food in your hands.
Oh yeah, no, the dogs are just very, very healthy for their age, and
yeah.
And it's not even as a sales point. It's just it's 100% due to the pet food that we give them, and the supplements. The most surprising to me. Okay, so I heard the stories about the older ones, about ready to be put down, and then they eat the stuff, and then they feel better, and they live a couple of years longer than they thought they would.
Right.
So then that seems to equate to our oldest dog, 17-year-old one, because we were right there talking about, what we're going to do, what are the next steps. So that equates to him directly. So I wasn't so shocked about that. The shocking one is we have this husky he's always been, has a good personality, but he's never had that exciting energy when he saw us. He just kind of laid down, looked at us. We'd have to go by. He's very independent, and go scrub his head with your fingers a little bit. But since he's been on the food, he's bouncing off the walls when we come in. So that's the only thing that's changed, right? So it's clearly the other stuff, and I hate to say this, was poisoning him, probably keeping him pretty subdued, not in his right energy mode. So it's kind of cool. And that one was really unexpected.
It is amazing to see, and we've been hearing a lot of stories. People are going over to, just go over to sbgpets.com and you can find out more about this. And we have story after story, people sending us emails and photos of their animals and their pets. And the transformation is quite amazing. If you've got an older pet, or even if you've got a younger pet, you want to keep healthy. Healthy food is the answer, as it is for us humans as well. The better diet we have, the longer we live, and the healthier we are, and the more energy we have. Well, the same applies for the pets. And what they've done with this company is they've put together pet food that is super healthy, packed with nutrients, and packed with a very special mushroom that helps with a lot of diseases. This is Thumper. This was taken yesterday. That is almost a 15-year-old cat. Look at that. Does it look like a 15-year-old cat to you?
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Hey, Thumper.
He's looking all spry and happy, and boy, he jumps up on the bed now. And if for a long time he wasn't doing that at all, he would just flop on the floor and have no energy. And we got him on the food. The hindquarters were gone. Miraculous stories, and we see these stories again and again. So we encourage you, go over to sbgpets.com. Check it out for yourself. There is a tab there for humans. They have stuff for humans as well, not just for your pets. So well worth checking out the website. Okay.
It just gave me an idea, and since we'll have to announce it publicly, I think it'll help. Guys, anything that you have on SVG Pets and the Pet Club 24/7 as a great story, or Neumi or Ascent Nutrition, send us pictures, send us your story. Even if you want to send us a picture of yourself with your name, maybe we'll feature it in one video that people could just refer to whenever they want to know that this stuff is real. This is the listeners saying this, not us.
Right.
That'd be cool. You can send that stuff to screwbiggov@protonmail.com, screwbiggov@protonmail.com, or to Robert. What's your email?
Robert@renegademedia.tv.
There we go.
Yep.
Cool. And then we'll have probably Lisa put that together, and then everybody can reference these real, true, honest stories, which I think is important because there's a lot of scammers out there.
Yeah, there really are, and it's really hard to know what's real and what's not. And I always look past the marketing message, and I always go to the results. And when I see the results and I'm getting the results, I'm a fan. The marketing message alone might get me interested in the product, but and what we see with these products is that people just keep coming back and buying them again and again. They don't buy them because they don't work. They buy them because they're seeing a result that makes it worthwhile.
Yep, absolutely.
Mike Benz was interviewed by Tucker Carlson. I've been following Mike for a while on Twitter, and I didn't realize I hadn't really paid a whole lot of attention to it. But this interview was something else. It was quite an expose, probably one of the best interviews that Tucker did, even better than the Putin interview. And 28 million views, I think, within the first 24 hours. The thing went viral. Everyone's talking about it. I don't know if you got a chance to catch the interview. It's about an hour long, 64 minutes, I think it is. But if you haven't yet seen it, well worthwhile. So what do you talk about? What's testing 1, 2?
I was up there. I was frozen on the screen for a second.
Yeah, you are. We're losing you a little bit now. You went really small on the screen, which means you have very low connection.
Oh, okay.
Got to find higher ground,
Can you
Lewis.
hear me?
Yeah, you're back now.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So this Mike Benz interview, it's been played, and actually Bannon had him on his show this morning too to continue the conversation, literally, because he was saying, like a lot of us are feeling, it's one of the best interviews that Tucker has done. You don't have to look far to find it. It's kind of everywhere out there. We got a couple of clips I lined up, and he really goes into this whole idea of the censorship. And I got to tell you, some people were really pissed off learning that this is a whole industry, a multi-billion-dollar industry. And he was going into, number one, who's behind it. Number two, how it works, how they coerced all the social media networks, with the exception right now of Telegram and X, probably the only two that are not in there. But he kind of feels that X is not going to last that much longer, that they're going to force them into doing censorship because it's an election year. And they're going to turn the heat up a lot on Elon Musk. But Elon is in an interesting position that the government kind of needs him for SpaceX and needs the battery technology from Tesla. So they don't want to piss him off too much, but they also don't want this platform where there's free speech, because it's a threat to what? Threat to democracy, they say. Free speech is a threat to democracy. Their version of democracy.
No, it is, and it should be a threat to democracy.
Yep.
That's part of the manipulation. They're not lying. It is a threat to democracy, because democracy is what they want, because democracy leads to totalitarianism.
Right.
So, but you know what free speech is not a threat to? The republic.
The republic, yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So they're using the words in the paragraphs correctly. We take offense to it. We should say, you're darn right, it threatens democracy, and we don't want democracy as the way they talked about it.
Yep. So he goes into giving examples. He was talking about mail-in voting and running that one across. A lot of us were posting, hey, that's the gateway to fraud. That's the gateway to everything. And what they did is they engaged this whole censorship operation, CIA, into the whole explanation of how they did it and how they coerced the big social media platforms. And one thing he said was kind of interesting. Lewis and I have been very keen on this as well, is the social media websites, hence what we're doing right now on Rumble and other channels, and we're on X, we're streaming on X right now as well, are now many times, multiples larger than mainstream media. They have a bigger impact than mainstream media. That's why they're going after the socials. In the past, it was like, you go back to the 90s and AOL and the chat rooms and that kind of thing. Nobody really cared, right? It was very small. The numbers are really small. The numbers are bigger, and Lewis and I would tell you that we get more views in a week to our show than some CNN shows get in prime time. Now, we're in the world, you get to say that, right? Yeah. It's like,
that's not hyperbole
it's
either.
not. Yeah.
These are facts. And by the way, these are stated facts from the Nielsen ratings, which I'm not saying they're cabal, but they're certainly not a We the People rating. So and it's exciting for me too. So if you take the top 10, let's just call them, my wife calls them this, so maybe she's going to convert me. She calls them podcasters. let's say if you take the top 10 podcasters, right? Cumulative, destroy all the networks.
Yeah. Well, you looked at Tucker Carlson's interview.
I was going to say, well, Robert, I was going to say, exclude Tucker Carlson from the number.
Even, yeah, if you take him out, we still blow it away.
And we still blow it away.
Yep. Look at Joe Rogan. Look at there's so many that blow CNN out of the water.
Take Tucker away. Take Joe Rogan away. Take all the big, and we still destroy them. That's how bad they're getting beat.
Yep.
And they cannot handle it. And what we need to know too is that I can certainly tell you that CNN makes about $2.2 million a day in ad revenue. Okay? Now, I can put together you, myself, and 4 other podcasters that will do more in total views than they do it. And we're not going to get anything close to $2.2 million in revenue.
Correct.
We're together, and in one day, we wouldn't get $22,000 in revenue.
Yep.
Right? Why is that important? Because businesses aren't stupid. Businesses put their money where their money makes them something, unless it's a cabal-controlled money laundering system developed and run by Tavistock, DARPA, CIA. And that's really what's going on here. So what happens is these corporations, by the way, they're always the Fortune 1000 corporations. Rarely will you see another advertisement on these networks. They are spending way more per eyeball than any functional business in the world would spend. Why is that? Because this is a laundering system, how they're supporting this operation, and it is an operation.
CNN, by all rights, should not be in business, nor should MSNBC. The viewership's just not there to support it. It's just not.
And it's state-run media.
Yeah, it is. It is. So back to Mike Benz talking about, all of this. And it's like this, that's why they went after the social media companies, because they knew their audiences were much bigger. And Lewis and I were talking the other day how people are getting personal messages from us saying, hey, thanks for engaging in our chat. Thanks for engaging with our channel. And you could actually have a conversation with them. Oh, Lewis, you're so kind. I love your channel. And they'll respond, and it goes back and forth. And I said, how do you know that's not an AI that they're talking to? Because we're all getting these messages all day long. And by the way, guys, we never do that. Lewis and I are not going to reach out to you personally and say, hey, thanks for following our channel. And we know that, this is happening. I get those messages all day long, too. I get them from Lewis's channel. I know it's not Lewis. I get them from other channels as well. So what you recognize when you start to look at the social media is they can infiltrate it, as Manager Jack said last week. They can infiltrate it with messaging to support whatever narrative they want by creating tens of thousands of fake accounts. They suppress the information that's real, and they amplify the information they want out there. So you, as the viewer, you're on social media and you go on Facebook and you go, man, everyone's talking about how great Biden is. They're not really, but you might assume that based on the posts that you're seeing. So we can be manipulated very easily now without even recognizing it. And I know it's harder for some people who are not really tech savvy to see through it. I get it. So just be a little bit aware of that these games are being played, and they're being played on a huge scale. And that's what they did when it came to mail-in voting. They suppressed anyone who had a dissenting opinion. 200 plus million posts were removed from social media websites because of that. Because they didn't want, and we'll play the clip here in a minute, Tucker actually said when the election, because they were planning for it. And what they wanted is not to make Trump appear like he was going to win hands down. They had to make everything look really close, and they suppressed so much of the pro-Trump posts. People were getting kicked off. I get people on Facebook all the time saying, I don't know why my post was deleted. And some people say, I had a post from 6 years ago that was deleted. I don't even know what the post is. That's AI. There's no actual person looking at it anymore. Now it's all AI. So all these systems are running in the background, and it's really a weird time, because we always talk about being authentic and honest and everything, and it's like, boy, it's the complete opposite of that right now in the social media realm. So take a deep breath here. All right, let's get into some of the clips.
Hold on.
Oh.
Before you play the video, I just want to address something because it's very important.
Yeah.
You mentioned about all the posts that are removed if they're talking about mail-in ballots. I want people to be highly aware of there's a lot of so-called conservative groups that are supporting mail-in ballots and early voting. I would suggest that you consider that they may be, listen to my words very closely, you may consider that they may be controlled opposition no matter how large the organization is and no matter who you see supporting the organizations. So I'll say that once again. If an organization is supporting mail-in ballots, early voting, I would just suggest to be suspicious about that organization.
Agreed. And you know, it's interesting. You see a lot of quote unquote organizations popping up that didn't exist yesterday. And all of a sudden they seem bigger than life and they've got messaging everywhere. Those are probably fake.
Yep.
You know,
well, these ones are real. These organizations are huge. I mean, millions and millions of followers and supporters. So just be wary.
Yep.
Remember, we're living within a massive psyop, guys. And don't get too attached to any one organization because you may not be happy when it's all said.
Right, because things are going to flip and flip back, and it's going to be very confusing, and it's intentionally done that way, so you can't find the top. And you know, one of the things this guy's talking about here is they intentionally make good bad and bad good. And when we're off balance and we're confused, we're much easier to manipulate. So it's a strategy.
Correct. So let me give an analogy. So Dan Crenshaw comes on the scene with his eye patch, talking about his story, wins the hearts of America, right? And then suddenly when he's pinned down in a corner, says the election was fair. That's controlled opposition.
Yep.
Fox News drew all of the market share from CNN, MSNBC, and everything else. And when the rubber hits the road, they were the first to declare Arizona for Biden. That's controlled opposition. So do you guys really think now that a Crenshaw and Hannity and Fox News are exposed as controlled opposition where most people know it, do you really think that the cabal just stops, or do you think maybe they find a different organization to do the same thing? So be very aware, because there's some top so-called podcasts and channels that you're not going to be too happy about when it's all said and done.
They can put as much money as they want in front of people, and they can literally, like Carrie Lake said, name your price, right? She was told, name your price. The amount of money doesn't matter. The money is like unlimited, and they buy out a lot of people, and we have to be very careful of the people that we follow, you know, because I think everyone has a price at some point. It's like, you know, 20 million, 40 million, whatever the number is, you know, they get bought out. We decided we're not going that route. I don't care how many dollars they put in front of us. We're not going to play the game.
Nope. Yep. We're take us out of the everybody equation.
Yep.
I'd rather, like, I'm gonna go down standing on my feet, not on my knees.
Yep. Agreed. All right. First clip from Mike Benz on Tucker Carlson. This interview, if you haven't seen, you need to see. And I'm just going to play a couple of clips and then we'll discuss. I think you'll be able to hear it, Lewis. I'll put the volume. Google. So what's Google? Google was a DARPA thing, just the way Facebook was DARPA, right? And he talked about the mapping software. Microsoft, all of them were at some point DARPA projects. And did you hear what he said right away after they started Google? Google became right away what? What did he say? A military contractor. Wow. Okay, are you paying attention to what Google is then? Google is an arm of the CIA, has been since day one. You don't think that that search engine gives you all the results? It doesn't. It's suppressed, very heavily suppressed, and it's very angled. And there's a fellow that we looked into
The
about a
thing
month
is,
ago. Go ahead. I missed that, Lewis.
uh, in that,
Yeah,
it's frustrating that us many, like, can't hear me.
yeah, you got a bad connection there. You're chopping up a little bit. That's just the thing with cell phones. You're jumping between cell towers, and sometimes the little space between the two towers, the signal gets a little weak, and then you get closer to
Yep.
another one, it gets strong again. Try again. You're still
And I
half
don't
screen.
jump as well as I used
No, huh?
to. And so it's frustrating that myself and tons of other truthers have been saying that. I've kind of been towards the top with saying that Google has been completely controlled. I proved it all the way back to the weather weapons, HARP. I've proved it. Literally, because I was involved in it way back then, researching HARP. So we knew decades ago that Google was this. Heard more about Facebook recently, and then Microsoft. What's interesting, though, is this has got to be a controlled game plan at this point, Robert. I don't know if you would agree with it, because us and many truthers have been disclosing this stuff. He's not, nothing personal against Mike Renz, that's great, but he's not disclosing anything that we have on that clip that we haven't been telling everybody for years. But, now he's going to probably get 100 million views on it because it goes through Tucker. So it just must be part of the game plan. And it is what it is. But I guess just be thankful instead of upset that you knew about it years ahead of everybody else.
And this is part of disclosure, right? So we need to have the disclosure. We need to get it out. And our voice is only going to go as far as it goes and not much further. And now that it's on Tucker, that clip got, 28 million views in the first 24 hours. So that message now is getting out. And that's why it's exciting for us to see that. It's like, finally, it's not quite mainstream, but as close to mainstream as we can get at this point. And this guy is now popping up on other shows, too, which is really cool.
What's the definition of mainstream in your opinion now?
Not much. If you look at CNBC, you look at MSNBC, you look at CNN, CBS, NBC, ABC, all of those guys, that's mainstream. But who's watching them anymore? I don't know anybody who watches them. I know people, I've got friends who have Fox News on in the background all the time. And, will this appear there? Well, maybe Jesse Waters will do something with it. We'll see. He might be the only crack in that one.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
I would say the demographic of the people that still watch mainstream media they're fully boosted and masked up.
Yeah, and I think there are a lot of people who are afraid to hear the truth because of the decisions they've made and they were bamboozled. It's hard to hear you were lied to and you bought the lie, because then you feel like you did something wrong.
So they need to... So they need to be fed the false narrative just to emotionally survive.
Yep.
So they go to the places they're going to tell them not what they want to.
Crazy. That's the last word I heard from you. Crazy. Okay, good. You're still showing up as having not much of a connection there.
I thought we had an connection, Rob. Are you trying to hurt?
Testing 1 2 1 2. Lewis, can you read us?
Can you hear me now?
You see on the screen it says Lewis Herms, and right next to him it's red. That means there's not much internet where he is. So we'll just next couple of miles or so, he'll get back into a cell zone. We'll catch him up again. Try again, Lewis. I can see you're moving now.
I'm moving now. Hi, my name is Lewis Herms. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can. We got a choppy audio feed now, so we got it. All right.
So what else we have from Mr. Riddens there?
This is a clip when Trump won in 2016 and what happened there. I'll blast this one for you as well.
When Trump won the...
How much of that you caught, Lewis? But it was no, Lewis is
Not
frozen.
at all.
You got it all. Okay, good. So here you had all these people in the State Department who were expecting Hillary Clinton was going to win in 2016, and they were all going to get promotions and raises, and they were going to get all treated well. And instead, Trump won and kicked them all out. Clean house. So they weren't happy about it, so they had to seek revenge, and that's what they did. That's really the sort of the genesis of the anti-Trump movement from the State Department, from the deep state. Former FBI, former
lovely
CIA.
set of corruption.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is what we really refer to as the deep state is all of these people who have all these skill sets and all these talents and are connected. And he started to lay out there at the end of that clip how they did it. They went to foreign governments and started to have them pass censorship laws. And what's interesting is these social media companies, because they're global in nature, if there is a censorship in one country, it's hard sometimes for them to say, well, I'm just going to censor the content there and not everywhere. It's easier to censor it throughout the entire platform.
Yeah. I would ask anybody, and Robert, can you name a 3-letter agency that is for we the people?
Nope.
People
Wait a second. News story that had not even broken yet.
Censoring a news story that had not even broken yet. That's being prepared, right? They know what's going to come. They know how we're going to react. They know what we're going to say. And all these tools are already in place to censor it before it comes out. And it's interesting because you could see even people say, well, I'm on Truth Social. I don't have to deal with that kind of thing. And the truth of the matter is there are a lot of people, even on Truth Social, who are being banned, who are being shadow banned, right? And they're getting posts removed. Lewis is one. He said it himself. He said, look, I put this out on Truth Social. I got 21 hits on it. And he's like hundreds of followers. It should be a lot more than that. And all of a sudden, he's not getting any traction there. All of these social media websites have this issue now. So what they do is they go to the governments and they say, hey, we're going to pass these censorship laws. And if you don't abide by the censorship laws, the fines are through the roof, to the point where if they didn't abide by them for like 30 days, they'd be out of business. It would take all their money. So they go, okay, what do we need to do? And they say, well, we just so happen to have this software available for you. All you have to do is run this software on your social media website and you're fine because it'll take care of everything. And obviously it's an AI, it's an algorithm, and they go in and this thing will go in and remove all the posts that they don't want out there. So I want you to understand that you think, or you have this feeling that we're on YouTube or we're on Facebook and we're getting the truth and it's all out there. You're getting what they want you to see, not what they don't want you to see. What they don't want you to see will either get throttled. Throttled means it doesn't get shown anywhere. Amplified means they show it to more people. So they amplify the content they want you to see and they throttle the content they don't want you to see. And all these things are managed in the back. It's not by people anymore. It's all AI. It's all computers running it. It's an algorithm running it. So it's sort of fascinating. Let me just see here real quick. Okay. It's sort of fascinating to see how they're playing this game. Lewis, are you back with us?
No, I'm front.
You're front and center. Let me put this camera on and turn that one off. It's good to see you in a good cell zone again. Yeah, nice and clear.
Yeah, for now.
Yeah.
We'll see. In fact, I'm passing the cell tower right now, so it should be good.
Yeah. So tell me about Truth Social and your experience, because you think, well, this is Donald Trump's social network. They're not throttling it. I see people all the time saying they're getting posts removed and their content's throttled.
Yeah, that's bullshit. I can tell you that I know it offends. See, that's the whole problem. We're so stuck in the Trump narrative that God forbid we say anything that's truth that may upset somebody that's a Trumper. Well, I'm pro-Trump, but I'm still going to tell the truth. I'm sorry, guys. The truth is I'm not Trump, but Truth Social has some issues.
Yeah.
I can absolutely tell you, when I try to post something about the Khazarian mafia, it either gets taken or not taken down. It never goes up. Literally never goes up, no matter how many times I hit the send button. So that means at minimum, they're tracking our message before we post it. That's at minimum. Mm-hmm. And then when we do a test on the views, certain things that blows you away, they will not put out at all. And right now it looks like I am shadow banned on True Social. By the way, sorry to hurt anybody's feelings. We know 100% because we had it investigated. We are absolutely shadow banned from X.
Yep.
So, guys, it is what it is. If you want to say the good guys are doing it because we're too far in front of the narrative, okay, I'm cool with that. It's just a fact, though. There is shadow banning and there's suppression of free speech on both of those social media apps right now. And some people throw up their arms. They go, "Oh man, if you can't trust True Social, I just give up completely." Guys, boom, 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 and the bullet points, extraordinarily powerful. They wouldn't even put it up.
Crazy.
And I can tell you, True Social and X does not like me talking about the Khazarian mafia. For some reason, that's off limits.
Yeah. Well, those are the people behind the censorship. So, they don't want to be exposed, clearly. Yeah, so, it's an interesting war that we're in. It is an information war, no question.
Yeah, but let's not get depressed about it. Because people lock into the next great thing like X. Oh, my God, it's so amazing now. Okay. I'm not saying it's not. It's fantastic. And I do credit X and Tucker for waking things up. But don't wholeheartedly believe that this is the next big deal. Because what happens is when we invest so much of our emotions into a Tucker Carlson or an Elon or a True Social, even, and back in the day in a BitChute, why do we want to ride that roller coaster? Just go, great. Hey, they're putting out the message. I look at the fruits. What are the fruits? Great. They're putting out the messages. It's a lot better than it was. Let's keep moving forward. As soon as we, the people, realize that the white hats are the person that you're looking in the mirror, this is over. This is over because we're taking accountability, ownership, and we're not waiting for somebody to do the work for us.
The most powerful lesson to help people be successful in whatever it is they're doing is literally the simplest thing in the world is you give them permission. Right? Because that's what we're all waiting for, because that's what we were brought up. That's our school teacher, right? Raise your hand. If you have a question, raise your hand. That means you're asking for permission, ask a question. Now, we were taught we have to ask permission. And I think we're in a point now where we're still waiting for permission. And it's like, we can't wait for permission anymore. We just got to take it back. Right?
That's right.
That's the challenge.
Wouldn't it be crazy if a major video platform actually all their signals went through an MI6 office, and that MI6 office duplicated it and sent it to a CIA office? Wouldn't that be crazy if that existed?
Yep. You're getting a handle on it. You're understanding how this works.
That'll be wacky, wouldn't it?
Yep.
Interesting. That's about all I could say on that.
And they don't need people anymore to be sitting there and watching the videos. The AI can scan a video in seconds rather than somebody sitting there in real time and watching an hour-long video. AI can, one of the reasons that they're converting text, speech to text on all the videos is not for the blind people. It's for the AIs because they can read the text and they don't have to watch the whole video. That text file is very small. Like, bam, they can scan it and look for keywords instantly.
That's correct.
Not for your benefit.
Hey, everybody, we'll get you the email address, but if everybody wants to email Rumble and ask them, why have you never responded to not even one single email from Lewis Herms at Scuba Gov? And he's one of your biggest producers of content.
Yeah.
Isn't that an interesting question? Not one. Several emails, never got a response.
Crazy. Yeah. All right, so here's the last clip that we're going to play for today, but I encourage you to go watch the entire 64 minutes. And this one, so they have to kind of treat him with kid gloves right now.
And he has unlimited pockets for attorneys. Do you remember what Elon's net worth is right now?
I don't know the number, no.
Okay, and is he not the richest man in the world?
Yep.
And I believe it's over $300 billion now, if I'm correct, right? Let's put that in perspective. Trump's mounting phenomenal legal support with his team. Phenomenal. And he is 1/100th as wealthy, if not less, than Elon Musk.
Wow.
So what Elon Musk has, just to put it in perspective, this is why I love math. Elon Musk has something that they can't combat. He has enough wealth to personally combat everything that's thrown at him. Plus, he can say F you anytime he wants because he is set up magically.
He's very uniquely positioned. Yep.
Yes, that may be the Elon Musk factor right there. So I think that which could equate to him being the most powerful person in the world. If you think about his control of SpaceX, his control of Tesla, his control of X, his financial wherewithal, right? I think people should really think about these things. So we darn well better hope that he's at minimum the gray hat.
We did not really understand why he wanted Twitter so bad, what the deal was there. And he's said it several times now that it was all about opening up free speech again. He was not liking the fact that the censorship had gotten so crazy over there. I mean, I just literally stopped using the account because there's no point to it. So
yeah, I think it was a brilliant play, and it wasn't a brilliant financial play. So it definitely was for different reasons.
Right. And he has an opportunity. He's got his eyes on making that much more than, a little chat platform is basically all it is now. He wants to bring e-commerce there. He wants to bring live video there. He wants to bring, there's other things that he's going to bring onto it that's going to make that a much more viable platform than it is now. He's going to take it to a new level. So it'll be interesting to see what he does with it.
Yeah, with 1/10 of the employees too. How brilliant is that?
Literally.
Yep.
All right. There's a lot there. I encourage you to go watch out Mike Benn's interview if you have an opportunity to do so. It's probably a good evening thing to do. I'm going to have to watch it again. There was just so much in there to unpack. It's crazy. But let's go over to California. What in the hell is going on in California? Well, I got dozens of illegal Chinese migrants are rounded up in California, along with Syrians and Turks. And they tell the cameras the reason they're here. You're not going to believe this. They're here to take the money. Biden's given them $5,000 that they can spend anywhere they want as soon as they come across the border. Video of the migrants show dozens and dozens, possibly up to hundreds of migrants crossing the international boundary near Jacumba, California. And I probably didn't pronounce that right. According to the footage taken by Griff Jenkins of Fox News, this is one of the largest groups of Chinese I've ever come across. And there are two groups in the same time crossing, the correspondent tweeted last week. So the 2023 fiscal year reportedly saw over 37,000 Chinese migrants encountered at the border, with a staggering 20,000 more since October when the 2024 fiscal year began. The number is about 100,000 higher than the same period last year. What's going on? Why so many Chinese? Is it just really because of the money? I think not. They can't leave China unless China knows exactly where they're going and what they're doing.
Well, there is an unwritten incentive that they have that I wish people would talk about more. They get an unlimited supply of wontons and fried rice.
Oh, you went there. Oh. Show just went down 2 notches in people's minds. No.
Up. You have to have your fried rice. You must have a fried rice with that. This is a setup on epic proportions. But you know what the massive diversion was? Getting everybody to pay attention to Russia when China's been our biggest enemy.
Yep. Yep. If anything,
And
Russia
now
seems more like on our side than anything.
Well, on We the People side, I
Yep.
believe you're referring to,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
Yep. Yep. Yep. So it's what my biggest concern is the amount of people that are coming across the border. And since I try to take a positive outlook on things, I try to justify, okay, well, maybe this is going on and maybe that's going on, so and so. But it's really tough because when they come across the border. So who in their right mind would think that that's okay? Oh, it's just part of war. No, we could have ended that a long time ago, right? It's just a what's the word? It's a collateral damage. No, I don't know about that. So I'm not completely sold on that narrative. I think there's enough suffering here that we can really make a difference and help and still win this war. But again, I always preface with I'm not part of the inner circle, nor do I want to be part of the inner circle, because I think they don't listen to that inside voice as much as they should, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think we have been bamboozled to look the other way, and now these reports are coming out more and more about who's actually coming across the border. And there was a video, and there was only one person that said, "Hey, I'm here for the money." Who knows if that's real or not? You know what I mean? It's like that's what the story's based on, that one video. I don't know. Don't know if I buy that. If there were a lot of them saying it, then okay, yeah, maybe it's more credence. But just one, not so sure. Not so sure.
Well, and we do know that they're coached, by the way, too.
Oh, yeah.
So who knows what coaching they're getting. And, it's a very sophisticated operation. So there's diversion within inside of it. I mean, when I went down to the border, we talked about 200 immigrants that crossed the border. 90% of them said they're from Guatemala, but it almost seemed like they were told to say that, which is very interesting because I would go, "Hey, where are you from?" Guatemala, Guatemala, Guatemala. And it was over and over and over and over. And the way they were saying it almost seemed like, are they really from Guatemala? Was what my discernment was asking. And then, of course, there's a few from Mexico, and then there was a bunch from Sudan, and even one guy from Chad that actually used to do contract work for what? The U.S. military.
Oh, well, there you go.
Interesting. Yeah. And these are people that crossed over the border illegally that we got to interview them. By the way, they have really nice shoes and backpacks.
Yeah. Brand new, too. They just got them. And they have a brand new shiny debit card, too.
Yeah, and they're not walking to the border. They're virtually being bused to the border.
Yep.
That's the other thing that people don't understand.
And if you as a journalist go near those buses, they arrest you. Not allowed to film it, not allowed to get near it. Yeah. A lot of journalists have been kicked out of those areas and threatened with being arrested. So, yeah. That's our government at work. Your tax dollars working against you.
Yeah. Well, that's on our side of the border. On their side of the border, they pick them up at remote locations, and they bus them, and then they walk a few minutes, and here they are at the border looking like, oh, we walked for days. No, you didn't. They're well fed. You don't see a bunch of malnourished people coming across the border. It's nothing that you would imagine until you go down there and take a look.
Yep. All right. Real quickly, ladies, Neumi Herms, if you have not tried this yet, I encourage you to do so. We're getting so many reports of women just having such great results with this particular product. It's a botanical product, nanoparticleized in the same way that they did the glutathione, and it really helps with that time of the month period, mood swings, low libido. It helps that raise that up a little bit, helps with energy, and helps you get better sleep as well. And it's really worth giving it a shot if you haven't done so already. If you are experiencing things like hot flashes, well, guess what? It'll help with that. Women are saying that it stops a hot flash within 10 minutes, which is fantastic because normally they go on for, well, some ladies don't sleep at night because of them. have a look at renegademedia.tv/energy. You take you right there and you find out more about this amazing, amazing product. And you want to make sure that you're getting the results and having good results with them as well. And share them with us because we love to hear those stories. All right. We have a little bit more news to go. How much time you have, Lewis? We're already at the 90-minute mark here.
I can hang in here. I'm just driving away. Got a long drive ahead of us still.
Okay, well then we'll prattle on a little bit here because I think it's important to do so. We can't. Go ahead.
I apologize. It's just it's hard for us to go too fast when we're driving through the Antarctica. So I just got to let you know that. Isn't that Arctic? Where do the penguins hang out?
Yeah, they're on the icebergs. Just look out for those.
We haven't seen any, not so far.
Thank you, Ronnie, in the chat for posting the link. I appreciate you. Thank you. All right. America's electrical vehicle boom goes bust. Lithium and nickel producers begin mass layoffs and pause multi-billion-dollar projects as U.S. says no to the electric car push. Boy, that's a surprise. I thought that was going to be the next big thing until we realized it really isn't. The demand for electric vehicles surged in 2022, rising 76% in April of that year. But by the end of 23, the number of vehicles sold dropped to 50%. Car buyers are still reluctant to trade their gas guzzlers. Oh boy, you're so ugly driving that gas guzzler for an EV over the high price tags and concerns about their ability to easily charge the vehicle. I don't know. There are not many charging stations around. Ford slashed 1,400 jobs at its once promising lithium factory in Michigan, while General Motors laid off more than 1,000 workers at its plant in Detroit, with the promise the employees would be rehired in 2025. So between now and then, just sit on your hands. You won't make any money you can't eat, but we'll bring you back in 2025. The price of lithium dropped by 90% since January of last year, and the demand for electric vehicles is already slowing and halting production of lithium and nickel mines. As a result, companies including General Motors and Ford were forced to slow the expansion of EV development and battery production plants, even as they made new promises to open more production plants in the next 2 years. I think everybody was expecting the entire car fleet to change overnight and go electric, but that's obviously just not possible. Yeah, well, according to our military, they want the military to be all EV'd up. Can you imagine an electric tank in the middle of a battle? Where it would take 10 minutes to fill it up with fuel, it might take 10 hours to recharge it. It's like not very useful.
No, it's not. It's funny because my wife had a shocking discovery yesterday. It's the first time she's ever seen a Tesla truck was yesterday. And we're driving. She's like, "What the hell is that?" It was the funniest response. I said, "That's a Tesla truck." She goes, "What? That's what'd you say, honey? What'd you call it?" She goes, it's like a running cockroach. She said she didn't that didn't resonate with her. You know, it's interesting that we really could pay attention to. So that we have mass layoffs going on in multitude of industries.
Oh my gosh, everywhere, yeah.
Everywhere. But yet you don't see the stock market taking it down.
You're saying the unemployment rate not ticking up. I lost you there a little bit.
No. I said the stock market hasn't taken it down.
Right.
Historically, when industries start laying off, the stock market starts to recede and then eventually falls off a cliff. You're not seeing that right now. There's some massive manipulation going on in the stock market. I believe that's going to be a huge disclosure when people find out that their money is not being fairly traded, and it never has been. Their money is being traded and retraded before it even gets the signal on NASDAQ or NYSE.
Yep.
What that means is you place, let's call it a bet because that's what it is. You place a bet on the stock market, and your money is traded at least a dozen times before it even gets to your trade. So your trade is delayed, so these billionaires can take advantage of you. So if they can do that, do you not think that they're manipulated to, right? They're falsely holding up the stock market right now? Of course they are, because they have to. Because I'm telling you, with these massive public layoffs, these are not under the table layoffs. These are public layoffs in virtually every major industry right now. The stock market would be crashing like it's never crashed before. So somehow it is propped up right now, and I'm not sure how they're doing it. I believe we figured out. Not quite sure how they're doing it now, but they are falsely propping up the market, and that will create a bubble, as you and I've talked about this before, that will explode so big. I think people would be shocked. So I'd be very wary of having money in the market right now, but not a financial advisor. Just saying.
Just a guy burning gas as we speak.
That's right. Fossil fuel. Nope. There doesn't exist fossil fuel.
Doesn't.
Oy, oy, oy.
It doesn't. No, the other thing that I look at is the unemployment numbers. The unemployment numbers are going down, and more layoffs. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. Common sense would dictate if there are layoffs everywhere, there's more people unemployed. Hello.
Yeah.
You know.
Since Obama, they've been manipulating unemployment numbers like you can't believe.
I know.
It's really they look at different matrices depending on what they want to release. That seems fair and open, doesn't it?
And then usually when they release the unemployment numbers and the new jobs being created, they revise them 3 weeks later when no one's paying attention. And they always revise them back down.
Yes.
So they come up with a number, they release it, everyone publishes it, and then 3 weeks later no one's paying attention. They lower it. You know? It's
right.
manipulation.
Great point.
Yep. What's going on in California? You want to know?
I do, but since I'm all the way in the Antarctic, I think it's important for me to figure out what's going on in California.
Almost the entire state is under weather alerts amid an atmospheric river. Yeah. So we're looking at the weather. Actually, we've been looking at this since last week, trying to figure out, how much rain we're going to get. And this is from Zero Hedge. They say about 37 million people in California. That's pretty much the whole state. I think there are 40 million here in California, are under severe weather alerts as California experiences heavy rainfall, with Southern California being the primary area to see the heaviest downpours. Heavy rains will cause flooding in Santa Barbara and Ventura counties through Monday morning. And the greater Los Angeles metro is expected to receive a round of heavy rain in the afternoon. State officials have warned residents to stay off the roads as they face the risk of flooding, landslides, and even tornadoes. Da-da-da. Boy, I could tell you, we could make a whole series with this one. Unfortunately, all that rain is along an atmospheric river that is literally like a big giant fire hose in the central parts and northern parts of California today, tomorrow, and Wednesday.
So those big, huge traffic warning signs on the freeways, the ones that the government, the ultra propaganda. Well, now they're using those same signs to tell people in California, check this out: emergency alert, storms, stay off the roads and do not travel until Wednesday night.
That's what this article told. Yeah, it's exactly what's going on.
Yeah, and can it be more propaganda?
It's 100% propaganda. Yeah, scare, fear.
That's what it is. It's exactly what it is. It's maddening what's going on all over the place. Now, this is all part of the wake-up process, folks. So this is good. So resonate positively. Be very, very happy that things are coming out like this, because what happens is the people that are drowsy or still sleeping will start to say, this doesn't make sense. This is just crazy. What type of country do we live in? Yep. I know you guys, you're probably 5-10 years ahead of everybody else, but they're coming around. And unfortunately, this madness is necessary, because we're in the, what phase we're in, Robert, of the beginning? The slap you across the face phase. That's where we are right now.
Yeah, pretty much. Yep. Yeah, it's one of these things that, I posted it on Facebook. I said, here's the forecast for Southern California. I posted the radar, and everyone's like, oh, that's amazing. Oh, stay safe, blah, blah, blah. And then a lot of people were posting on there, that's weather manipulation. That's what it looks like. I'm like, yep, that's exactly what it is. This is not, the typical kind of weather we have over here, having that much rain. And it's like, oh, well, it's not normal. So maybe it's people are waking up, because I'm seeing more and more of them saying, hey, there's something going on here. That ain't normal. Scientists fear 100% fatal zombie deer disease is evolving to affect humans and forests across America. Are you kidding me?
And can be transmitted to humans.
Yep.
It was not a mistake that those two sentences were right next to each other.
No, it's fear porn. No
they
question.
also indicated if you listen to the symptoms, what they're talking about is a zombie apocalypse. Interesting enough, and they've been predictive programming that for forever. I was just having a conversation, my wife and I, with a friend and a great patriot out there that many know, and and it comes down to one thing that I talk about all the time. The baddies know the power of manifestation, but they don't have the personal ability to manifest that. Maybe because they don't resonate with God. I don't know why, right? But they don't work on the quantum field the way we do. So what happens is, understanding that, they use us, the people, on their behalf. And how would they do that? Fear porn, predictive programming, get you to worry, because what you worry about, you are praying for. Big deal, right?
Yep.
So that's exactly what this is. So again, guys, take a deep breath, laugh at it, push it aside, and help people laugh at it. In addition, you have to break their patterns. In fact, something that I learned from Anthony Robbins a long time ago, and I know he's a friend of yours. So Anthony Robbins, no matter what you think about it, he does have some good teachings. And one thing I learned from him is how to break patterns. And so, great example, if somebody is just moaning and moaning and moaning and moaning, you say something like, wow, is that a blue lizard on your collar? They're like, what? Huh? What? And then you say, so what were you saying? And they've already lost it.
Yep.
The pity party's over. Mm-hmm. It's already gone. And it's very basic, and it's called pattern breaking.
Interrupt the pattern.
How do you
Very
like
important.
That? Driving, muted, sneezed, unmuted.
You nailed it. You nailed it. We're going to end today with two videos. We're going to do our normal outro video, but there's a video I'm going to play before this. This is Matt Kim talking to Tucker Carlson, and he's answering the question that I think I get asked, and everyone else in our community gets asked more than anything. It's, what can we do? And I really like the answer he gave, and that's why I'm going to share this video. It's long. It's almost 4 minutes long, but it's worth sharing with you. I wanted to do that, and then we'll end with our normal outro video. But Lewis and I will end the podcast for our part here, and we'll say goodnight to you, and know that we'll be back tomorrow with a very special guest. So there'll be a great show tomorrow. Lewis, thank you for being a trooper and playing full out here in the midst of cellular connection challenges and all.
Gracias, senor. Or should I say, I love me some fly lice.
I think you might be a little hungry, my friend.
True. Very true. Good night, Robert. Good night, family out there. We appreciate you.